So, welcome everyone. Small group today. I guess
Almost
everyone is
private
sick from
lesson.
eating too. Yeah, everyone is sick from eating too much chocolate this weekend, I guess. And so we have Morgan also on stream. So I was secretly welcoming her a few seconds ago. Um, so I think we're gonna stick to the formula that we had tried last time. Let's do a 10 minutes shamatha right from the get-go. And then after that, we can do a reading together and another meditation session where we will try to incorporate the teaching a little bit more. So without further ado, let's start relaxing. Take 3 deep breaths. As we breathe deeply, let us relax all of the muscles of our body. Let's try to relax our skull from the tip of our head, releasing the tensions as well down. Let's relax our eyebrows, eye sockets. The lids are always equal, especially if you spend a lot of time in front of a screen. You can close your eyes a bit so that you get into a very comfortable place in your mind. Your cheeks, your ear. Make sure all the muscles of your jaw relaxed. Avoid clenching the teeth. Don't rest comfortably in your mouth against the upper body. Some fresh air to your nose, to your lungs. Relax the back of your head, lower part of it, and your neck. Make sure to release tension in your shoulders. And all along the spine. Relax your upper back, chest. I think I have some sound problems. Can you hear me fine? Sorry to ask that during meditation, but
Yeah, I can hear you.
I hear you fine. Yeah, me too.
so let us allow our arms to rest in our laps very softly. Let's relax our legs, make sure they're comfortable. platform for our body. Make sure all of our limbs are completely relaxed, including our hands and fingers, feet and toes. And let us start focusing on the breath. 3 deep breaths. Keep on following the breath. Next following minutes, bringing it back gently when the mind wanders. Each breath, try to deepen your relaxation state. Take well-deserved rest. Feel that a lot of thoughts are coming. Just let them think. Let them go. As you breathe out, try to dissolve your body into the space. Let go of any boundaries between you and the world. Exit into try to visualize the breath as dancing with the heat. You breathe in and breathe out. And actually, let us do that until we hear the next bell. text a little bit. Today it's interesting because we're going to be talking about being reborn in the Pure Land, which is, I guess, what's going on with Christianity, with Easter these days. So we're going to draw some parallels and discuss about that. See who's that Amida Buddha guy and how we can practice with this. And so Mara, you seem quite ready to come and do this reading for us.
Yeah, I only need one hand apparently. I have one hand over here, but it's stuck to the left.
Alright, whatever you want.
The belief offered by Buddha. Amida, Buddha's vows. As already explained, people always yield their worldly passions, repeating sin after sin, and carry burdens of intolerable acts of their own wisdom or of their own strength. To break these habits of greed and indulgence, if they are unable to overcome and remove worldly passions, how can they expect to realize their true nature of Buddhahood? Buddha, who thoroughly understood human nature, had great sympathy for people and made a vow that he would do everything possible, even at the cost of great hardship to himself, to relieve them of their fears and sufferings. To effect this relief, he manifested himself as a Bodhisattva in the immemorial past and made the following 10 vows. Though I attain Buddhahood, I shall never be complete until everyone in my land is certain of entering Buddhahood and gaining enlightenment. Though I attain Buddhahood, I shall never be complete until my affirming light reaches all over the world. Though I attain Buddhahood, I shall never complete until my life endures through the ages and saves innumerable numbers of people. Though I attain Buddhahood, I shall never complete until all the Buddhas in the 10 directions unite in praising my name. Though I attain Buddhahood, I shall never be complete until people with sincere faith endeavor to be reborn in my land by repeating my name in sincere faith 10 times and actually do succeed in this rebirth. Though I attain Buddhahood, I shall never be complete until people everywhere determined to attain enlightenment, practice virtues, sincerely wish to be born in my land. Thus, I shall appear at the moment of their death with a great company of Bodhisattvas to welcome them into my Pure Land. Though I attain Buddhahood, I shall never be complete until people everywhere hearing my name think of my land and wish to be born there, and to that end sincerely plant seeds of virtue and thus are able to accomplish all their heart's desire. Though I attain Buddhahood, I shall never be complete until all those who are born in my Pure Land attain the rank in which they become Buddha in the next life. Exception to this are those who, based on their personal vow, wear the armor of great vow for the sake of people, strive for the benefit and peace of the world, lead innumerable people to enlightenment, and cultivate the merit of great compassion. Though I attain Buddhahood, I shall never complete until people all over the world are influenced by my spirit of loving compassion that will purify their minds and bodies and lift them above the things of the world. Though I attain Buddhahood, I shall never be complete until people everywhere hearing my name, learn the right ideas about life and death, and gain that perfect wisdom that will keep their minds pure and tranquil in the midst of the world's greed and suffering. Thus, I make these vows. May I not attain Buddhahood until they are fulfilled. May I become the source of unlimited light, freeing and radiating the treasures of my wisdom and virtue, enlightening all lands and emancipating all suffering people. Thus he, by accumulating innumerable virtues through many cons of time, became Amida, or the Buddha of infinite light and boundless life, and perfect his own Buddha land of purity, wherein he is now living, in a world of peace, enlightening all people. This pure land, wherein there is no suffering, is indeed most peaceful and happy. Clothing, food, and all beautiful things appear when those who live there wish for them. When a gentle breeze passes through its jewel-laden trees, the music of its holy teaching fills the air and cleanses the mind of all who listen to it. In this pure land there are many fragrant lotus blossoms, and each blossom has many precious petals, and each petal shines with ineffable beauty. The radiance of these lotus blossoms brightens the path of wisdom, and those who listen to the music of holy teachings are led into perfect peace. Not all the Buddhas of the 10 directions are praising the virtues of this Buddha of infinite light and boundless life. Whoever hears this Buddha name magnifies and receives it with joy. His mind becomes one of the Buddha's mind, and he will be born in the Buddha's wondrous land of purity. Those who are born in that pure land share Buddha's boundless life. Their hearts are immediately filled with sympathy for all sufferers, and they go forward to manifest the Buddha's method of salvation. In the spirit of these vows, they cast away all worldly attachments and realize the impermanence of this world, and they devote their merits to the emancipation of all sentient life. They integrate their own lives with lives of all others, sharing their illusions and sufferings, but at the same time realizing their freedom from the bounds and attachments of this worldly life. They know the hindrances of difficulties of worldly living, but they know also the boundless potentialities of Buddha's compassion. They are free to go or come, they are free to advance or stop as they wish, but they choose to remain with these upon whom Buddha has compassion. Therefore, if anyone hearing the name of this Amida Buddha is encouraged to call upon that name in perfect faith, he shall share in Buddha's compassion. So all people should listen to the Buddha's teaching and should follow it, even if it seems to lead them again through the flames that envelop this world of life and death. If people truly and earnestly wish to attain enlightenment, they must rely on the power of this Buddha. It is impossible for an ordinary person to realize his supreme Buddha nature without the support of this Buddha. Amida Buddha is not far from anyone. His lands of purity is described as being far away to the west, but it is also within the minds of those who earnestly wish to be with him. When some people picture in their minds the figure of Amida Buddha shining in golden splendor, the picture divides into 84,000 figures or features, each figure or feature emitting 84,000 rays of light, and each ray of light enlightened a world, never leaving in darkness a single person who is reciting the name of Buddha. Thus, this Buddha helps people take advantage of the salvation he offers. By seeing the image of Buddha, one is enabled to realize the mind of Buddha. The Buddha's mind has a great compassion that includes all, even those who are ignorant of his compassion or forgetful of it. Much more those who remember it in faith. Those who have faith, he offers the opportunity to become one with him, as this Buddha is the all-inclusive body of equality. Whoever thinks of Buddha, Buddha thinks of him and enters his mind freely. This means that when a person thinks of Buddha, he has Buddha's mind in its all pure and happy and peaceful perfection. In other words, his mind is a Buddha mind. Therefore, each man in purity and sincerity of faith should picture his own mind as being Buddha's mind. Buddha has many forms of transfiguration and incarnation, and can manifest himself in manifold ways according to the ability of each person. He manifests his body in immense size to cover all the sky and stretches away into the boundless stellar spaces. He also manifests himself in the infinitesimals of nature, sometimes in form, sometimes in energy, sometimes in aspects of mind, and sometimes in personality. But in some manner or other he will surely appear to those who recite the name of Buddha with faith. To such, Amida always appears accompanied by two Buddhist attvas. Avalokitesvara, the Buddhist Attva of compassion, and Mahasthammaprata, the Buddhist Attva of wisdom. His manifestation fills up the world for everyone to see, but only those who have faith notice them. Those who are able to see his temporal manifestation acquire abiding satisfaction and happiness moreover. Those who are able to see the real Buddha realize his incalculable fortunes of joy and peace. Since the mind of Amida Buddha, with all its boundless potentials of love and wisdom, is compassion itself, Buddha can save all. The most wicked of people, those who commit unbelievable crimes, whose minds are filled with greed, anger, and infatuation, those who lie, chatter, abuse, and cheat, those who kill, those steal and act lasciviously, those who are near the end of their lives after years of evil deeds, they are destined to long ages of punishment. A good friend comes to them and pleads with them at their last moment, saying, "You are now facing death. You cannot blot out your life of wickedness, but you can take refuge in the compassion of the Buddha of infinite light by reciting his name." If these wicked men recite to the holy name of Amida Buddha with singleness of mind, all the sins which would have destined to the evil world will be cleared away. If simply repeating the holy name can do this, how much more will be possible if one is able to concentrate his mind upon this Buddha? Those who are thus able to recite the holy name, when they come to end of life, will be met by Amida Buddha and the Buddhist Attvas of compassion and wisdom, and will be led by them into the Buddha's land, where they will be born in all purity of the white lotus. Therefore everyone should keep in mind the words Namu Amida Butsu, or wholehearted reliance upon the Buddha of infinite light and boundless life. That was it.
Mark.
a lot of chocolate and time with your loved ones. Welcome, Amasa. Welcome, Morgan. I see you went from Discord to real immersion, so welcome back. Hello, Rico as well, just joined us. All right, so let's start from there because, as I said in the beginning, Easter is pretty much a celebration of rebirth. Just like right now, Amida Buddha, or Amitabha as he's also known, is inviting us to be reborn in his pure land, basically. But what does it mean? What is that pure land that we're talking about? Well, we spoke about that a lot in the past, right? The Buddha field, emptiness, and vacuity. It has many, many names. But that too, Markaya. Well, the Markaya is the body, actually. So that's the pure land. But one thing I find fascinating with this way of talking about Amida Buddha is that he's almost like a human Buddha. You would say almost like a godfather-like figure, right? So I feel like there's something pretty similar to Christianity happening there. Like there was this being and he was a human, and at some point he became one with everything, and now he's welcoming people to be reborn in this field. So to me, Pure Land, when you put it like this, is very similar to ideas of paradise, with an owner over there welcoming you on his turf. So and also it's pretty much practiced like that in some Asian countries. Amitabha is present in Indian Buddhism, is present in Japanese Buddhism as well. Tibetan Buddhism also talks of Amitabha. But it's not practiced the same everywhere. In some, for example, in Pure Land Buddhism, it is a very central figure, and I don't even know all the rites that are associated with it, but he's like the main guy. And I've heard that the way that they practice it is very similar to the way Christians would practice in church. So basically you would go to the temple once in a while, you light some incense, you do your prayers, you ask for forgiveness, you ask for guidance, and that's kind of how I reckon Pure Land Buddhism works. So it's not the same. Well, obviously you could practice this path as well in all introspection and self-knowledge, but like in its mass version of hundreds of thousands and millions of people practicing it and going to the temple. Well, it's not all of them who have a deep knowledge of the religion, so a lot are content just practicing the rites there and going there for purification, I may say so. So it's interesting to have this figure introduced. To go back to Easter, maybe you guys already know about this, but Easter comes from the goddess Easter, which was a goddess of old, about which we don't know much, but we know that she was associated with spring. And there was, in Old English, a month called Eastern Monarch, which was the month of this goddess. And so the entire month was like a festival dedicated to her. And so it was about spring. Easter is celebrated after the first full moon, after the spring equinox. So I bet it has something to do with agriculture there as well, because that's one thing that farmers follow a lot. Of course, you have the change of season, but moons are also very important in agriculture. So it feels to me like something that is based on when you should start sowing the seeds or something like this. that's for time frame. And then you have also all the symbols that we now use when we celebrate Easter, which don't make any type of sense whatsoever, because we have basically a bunny that's laying eggs, and actually there are a bunch of symbols all mixed together. The egg also symbolizes life, right? So it's the egg about to crack, the egg that's been fertilized and that will give birth to something soon. So it's the incubator of life, the egg. And the rabbit, or the hare, I think it was the Easter hare that the Germans brought at some point in our history, was and has long been a symbol of fertility as well, because of the speed at which they reproduce and go at it. They're repopulation machines, those little bunnies. And so, if you think about Easter in that way, of the goddess of spring, the rebirth of the plants, of the flowers, the snow melting, and the birth of everything. It's interesting. It's also a resurrection, because all of this was buried under snow or pretty much dead in the colder month. So it's also a rebirth cycle. So there you have it, reincarnation as well. So you are now coming back to a new life, pretty much the same that you were before. So it's just funny that today's lecture is fitting and synchronized with this time of the year. I didn't do that on purpose, I swear. And there are so many parallels. Now, Amida Buddha, in some cases described as a monk, in others he's described as a king. So he was a king, apparently, who got in touch with Dharma. And that pretty much changed his perspective about many things in life, decided to embrace it and to rule with it, and sooner than later he decided to give up everything and just to become a monk. And this monk was known as Dharmakara. And so apparently he was a very, very good and very well dedicated monk. We're talking here obviously about the Mahayana path, which is about compassion and about serving others and altruism and all of this, loving kindness, bodhicitta. So it's difficult to give a precise definition of what that means exactly, but it is about a space that is everywhere and loving, and a peace that we can access that is within us. So that was his aspiration, to realize himself and to bring everyone into peace. And apparently he was so disciplined and so good at maintaining that aspiration that he did over many, many lifetimes, to the point that he became this Buddha field. So that's what the text was telling us there. So he himself became paradise. Now, it's when you're venerating Amida in like the consumer way, I would say, like, you just go to the temple and you do your purification ritual, and then you come back and you feel lighter. For someone that enjoys Buddhism and its deeper meanings and more subtle teachings, it's a bit difficult to accept, but at the same time I can find value in this. What Amida and the Pure Land are really about is that they give you a positive vision of the world. You can visualize that perfect Buddha, or that man that became perfect and turned into a Buddha and turned into the field. Then in that field there is everything that you need, and you feel good, so if you connect with that, if you have that in your mind, like at least once a week, but every day, if you bring that back to your mind, obviously you will feel more peaceful. So it's a good trick to actually let go, not focus on your problems, let go of whatever bad influences is happening right now, and be there. Be there trying to fuse yourself with your Amida Buddha. It also reminds me of an Indian and Tibetan practice. It's called Guru Yoga. I'm not sure if any of you have ever practiced that. Guru Yoga is about visualizing your teacher as a perfect being and the essence of enlightenment itself, if you will. And as you observe your teacher and learn from your teacher, you are also trying to emulate those virtues and get them for you. So you want a transmission of that wisdom and of those skillful means for yourself so that you too become enlightened. So you can practice that as well with Amida Buddha, thinking that like he's the most perfect, let's say, humanoid being. You can imagine also Siddhartha Gautama, whatever Buddha works for you. But imagine that this Buddha figure is completely perfect, and that this perfection is kind of landing on you, that you're fusing with it. So it's not exactly how Guru Yoga is practiced. For example, in Tibetan Buddhism, there are many more complex visualizations involved, such as different color lights and so on. But if you start from this, if you want to practice that and get a feeling of your own potential, the Amida Buddha practice is not a bad one at all. So the text today was closing on Amida Buddha's mantra, which is Namu Amida Butsu, and actually this is a chant. And I think what I would like today, because there's not much to discuss in today's teaching, right? It was mainly about the aspirations of that monk and mainly about rebirth, but we've seen already all of that in many details. So what I want to do today maybe is talk a little bit about mantras, and then teach you the Namu Amida Butsu chant, and do a little meditation with this, so that you can go back to that as maybe a calming resource when you need it. So, do you remember a little story I once taught here about when I taught a mantra to a guy, and basically the mantra I gave him was strawberry jam or marmalade or something like that.
Yes.
Anybody remember that?
Yeah, that was an ex-veteran that suffered from PTSD. That wasn't really
Exactly.
that religious, but wanted something that he could focus on or something. So it was strawberry jam. I think I remember that still.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed by the details you remember, actually.
Yeah.
Did somebody else hear that, or is it only Casper that remembers that?
Who are we
I'm
talking
new
about?
here, so
Okay, so well, if you don't mind, Casper, since most of the group never heard that little story, I will repeat it briefly.
Well, it's.
So indeed,
Oh yeah. Okay.
yes.
No. You can.
So indeed, I was sitting with a war vet, and he had trouble sleeping or finding peace. He would get flashbacks during the day or at night, and we had a little chat about Buddhism and how it's about learning more about your mind and your emotions so that you can manage better, do better in life, feel happier, feel less suffering. And so when you get flashbacks and you're completely out of control, like if you have a panic attack or something, sometimes your understanding of yourself kind of fails you because you're overtaken by this force. So mantras are often used almost like spells, almost like little magical things that you can recite within. And what it does is that as you think of that and as you repeat it, it fills your mental space and it fills your heart. So there's no room for anything else. So if you're having bad thoughts and bad emotion, you can start focusing on the feel-good mantra, and it will basically enter the space and push whatever was there outside of it. If you do it long enough, you might even forget what you were obsessing about. Sometimes it comes back, and then you can go back to your mantra. But sometimes it's very effective, and if it was a temporary panic, you can probably get rid of it for 15 minutes or 30 minutes of a mantra. Now, they say all kinds of mystical things about mantras as well. Some say that they are magic words and that they were charged with magical powers over the years because so many people have recited them. Some mantras were taught in secret. The syllables of mantras also mean something. For example, if you do a ah, if you do just the vowel ah, to do a ah like that, you have to open your mouth wide, and you have to let the air come from deep down in your lung and expulse that air. It's very different than doing a where in the you're containing the sound within your mouth, and you're using your head as a box of resonance, basically, and you can feel the vibration somewhere else. And then you have syllables that are more energetic, like ho. So these ones you would expulse faster, and some of them bring some surprise. You have you have So there's a bunch of combination of those syllables, and they relate with the way we breathe and the way we experience sound. And if you start playing around with every vowel in your language and try and start to relate with each vowel, you will see that there are distinct feelings associated with them. So those sacred and secret mantras oftentimes combine the sounds as to create certain feelings, as to convey certain messages, and oftentimes they are associated with a meaning. So there are words thrown in there that are symbols and that relate to what you have studied. So, basically a mantra could be a phrase that is meaningful to you, like I feel good, or with each moment that passes, I feel better, and you repeat that with each moment that passes, I feel better. With each moment that passes, I feel better. With each moment that passes. If you, just as I am saying it, I'm filling your mind with this, and it becomes harder to hear something else. It's like, don't think of a green horse, don't think of a green horse. Have you seen a green horse? Or have you not seen a green horse? Can you see a green horse? It is the green horse. The more I will repeat it, the more I'm painting a green horse in your mind. So you can do that to yourself as well. And mantras are pretty much there. They're like a mix of neuro-linguistic programming and visualization and feeling and aspiration and auto-hypnosis, and it can be very powerful actually if you start practicing. Many mantras are meant to be sung a certain way, so that actually you get all the benefits from the vibrations and everything. So you don't just take a mantra and say it however. You need somebody to teach you about that. But you can also make your own. So the actual story about the warfare there was that the guy was overtaken by these problems, but he was not a religious person, and I didn't want to spook him by saying, or something like that. I didn't want to teach him too exotic stuff. So I said, look, you have to chase those thoughts that you don't care for with some other thoughts. I said, let's say you like strawberry jam, and that's a good memory from when you were a kid. Well, you can use that when you see that the flashback is coming in, and when you're overtaken by feelings of panic, whatever. Just repeat in your mind, strawberry jam, strawberry jam, strawberry jam, strawberry jam, strawberry jam, strawberry, and visualize like a piece of bread with strawberry jam on it, and feel how it tastes. And so I don't really care what's going to happen with the strawberry jam and how much more you will bring into your life. But one thing I know is that you're chasing away the bad thought that you were struggling with right now. And so I said that very loosely, you know. I didn't mean him to say really strawberry jam, but he took me literally. And so I saw him a couple of days afterwards, and even months afterwards. I said, "So, how are you feeling?" He said, "Oh, I'm using your thing, you know. I go all day long strawberry jam and strawberry jam." I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "Yeah, it's working. It's helping me a lot." So it goes to show that when you decide to master the content that you let in, you can actually do that, and it's not that complicated. So let's learn the Namo Amida Butsu, which is actually the words to this are Namo Amida Butsu. So if you can remember that, you pretty much know the mantra already. But there's a way to sing this, and frankly, I learned it just for this session, so it might not be perfect. An idea. So let me just remove an ear from my earphone so I can hear what I sound like. It would be Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. So if you refer back to your lecture, and there's a phrase where this is the actual translation for Namu Amida Butsu. Look here. So, well, they're saying wholehearted reliance upon the Buddha of infinite light and boundless life. It's like a surrender. I would paraphrase it by saying, Amida, I put myself in your hands so that I feel better, so that you protect me, so that whatever I carry, you know. So it's like surrendering to God. And these mantras, when sung in group, are beautiful. Unfortunately, that's very difficult to do in VR. For obvious reasons, we don't all sync at the same time, and we would end up creating a canon without even trying. So what I'm gonna invite you to do is we're gonna do another 10 minutes of meditation, and I'm gonna sing the mantra 10 times, and then you carry on singing it. You can mute yourself and sing it for real. Or you can sing it in your head. Now, while you do that, I want you to imagine the figure of a Buddha. It can be like a Buddha statue. And imagine it being perfect, being pure, maybe irradiating light. So make it as beautiful, as likable, and as nice as you can. And when you are happy with your visualization, imagine that Buddha above your head and see yourself in your visualization from the face, and imagine that the Buddha is lowering itself onto you and kind of fusing with you. So he's kind of entering from the top of your body and kind of coming and sitting on top of you, mixing with you so that you become the Buddha. So as you recite that, do that visualization, let a feel good feeling arise, and try that. That's a different kind of meditation that we don't get to do often in this group, so I hope you enjoy it. Any questions before we start that?
No, not really.
Or maybe commentaries about pure... Yes?
Did someone saw a green horse?
Did you?
Yeah, yes I did.
Yeah,
Oh.
even if you
Yeah.
don't visualize it, the idea is planted,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. The idea
Yes.
was planted.
I found it a bit weird. The text said that if someone does terrible things and you just say the words when you are at your dead's end, you go to the purity land.
Well, and at the same time, isn't that how Christians pray? You know, the what's the name of the prayer they say every day? Our God, our Father, something like that.
Yeah, they wish themselves something better, or they are grateful for what they have, but they do that
You,
at dinner, I guess. But also they pray before going to sleep. So
right, but in essence, you know, they're requesting for forgiveness. They want to go to this paradise. They want to be united with God. So really, that's how they pray. And if you go and you do confession in the Christian world, they will say, okay, do 7 Hail Mary, or you know, whatever. That's what you have to do. So what are you doing there if not a mantra again, and kind of reprogramming yourself to be closer to God? So it is strange, but it works. You know, I found out that PTSD often happens when you are forced to do something with which you experience dissonance. For example, you're in the case of a soldier like that, or a war vet. Let's say you are given the order to I don't know, kill a single mother. That order doesn't make sense, and your heart certainly won't want to do that, but your mind has been trained to do it anyway. Intellectually, you're thinking, I cannot. They will imprison me if I don't do it. I will be thrown in jail. I will lose my job. I won't be able to feed my family, whatever. So that's what your mind is saying, while your heart doesn't really want to kill anybody. But you go and you do it anyway. And after that, you're a wreck. After that, you're a mess. Because your brain, many months and many years after that, is still trying to make sense of this situation, which is unexplainable and unjustifiable. It's something you should never have done, but you did it anyway, right? And you don't understand yourself in that level. So that's when the brain starts spinning and starts obsessing about those things. Because it
Yeah.
wants justification, it wants rationalization, but you cannot get it. So
But-
in a way, it's like make peace and forget about it. Don't try to rationalize it. It's irrational.
yeah, but also the Christians, the good Christians, they have 10 rules or something that they need to do or keep them on to go to heaven or something. But the purity land and the thing that we are singing is also for the people who did really bad things without abiding the rules or something, and they just go to heaven when they speak the words before that. So that was a bit confusing.
Sure, but if you think about it, it also makes sense. There's a saint in Tibetan tradition called Milarepa, and Milarepa, I guess, was a bit mischievous and doing all kinds of things in his village. And at some point, he got banished. And they say in that story that he went and studied sorcery to take revenge on the people that had banished him, and he came back and he killed them all. And so it was not improving his situation at all. But eventually he went back in exile in the mountain, and he met his master, who worked him almost to death. He was having him build towers out of very heavy rocks, and then when he was done, he would have him take them apart and say, "Oh no, I don't want the tower there. Let's put it over there instead." You know, just like moving pianos all day long. But he had him do that for like 20 years. And at some point, through his own hardships, Milarepa gained a better understanding of suffering, and he wrote many of the best poems and teachings and songs of Buddhism in the Tibetan tradition. So he repented truly, right? But your past does not define who you are now or who you need to be tomorrow. You define that. You make the decision. So, if and it is said in many religions of the world that it is actually easier to repent at the moment of death, not because you're scared, but just because you get a very good understanding of impermanence at that moment. You get a very good understanding of the value of human life because you are losing it. So there's some wisdom that kicks in at the moment of death. And yes, maybe you can make peace. And that's why priests of all of these traditions will go and visit the terminally ill and either confess them or send them away with the grace of God. So
No matter what they did, yeah.
But I personally think, because you can see it in the religious way, like, or you can just murder your entire life and then you just say one prayer at the end of your life and you're going to heaven anyway. I think that's a kind of misconception, because I would say the genuine part of someone that has done terrible things their entire life, or killing left and right, and then saying, oh, now I'm going to repent so I can go to heaven, can't forget that because I'm going to die tomorrow. I don't think, no matter what, he'll be actually genuine repenting. He will just be repenting because he would be afraid, and it would just be something that he does because he thinks he needs to do this to get that. But I think actual genuine repentance isn't possible for such people even at the end of their life, because they're still thinking with their own ego and with their own self in mind at the very end. So in that regard, I'd say true repentance at the end of someone's life would only be possible for people that are actually genuine about it. And I don't see, for example, some really evil people like, let's say, Adolf, suddenly saying, oh, before I blow my brain, let me repent real quick and everything will be fine, for example. Yeah. That's how I'd say it.
That's a better explanation.
Yeah, and there needs, yeah, I don't think if you've been evil and you have that mindset till the last day that you can repent and be genuine about it.
Truly.
And I think a lot of people that follow Christianity, and even a lot of priests probably have this false perception that the only thing they have to do is repent one time and they're free. But at the very end, they're still deluding themselves to the very end and haven't learned anything.
Right, but I'm trying to understand actually why we are talking about this, because what is it? Is it that we don't want them to find peace or paradise, or why do we think it's impossible?
I think
it seems to me like
I think it's
happiness
partly
is just a decision.
I think it's partly because I think it's partly because we have this feeling that people that have done such terrible things shouldn't get off so easily at the very end. It's kind of a selfish feeling, I'd say. Some kind of feeling of we want them not to be at peace or something, because they don't deserve it. In a way, you could say it's partly revenge, like.
But what if I told you that it is entirely possible that someone who was killing people 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes later, he's hit by this revelation, this enlightenment, and then he won't ever kill again, but he won't be thinking about necessarily all those people that he's been killing. Psychotherapy ends when you're trying to explain your sadness and you're trying to explain what happened to you and you're trying to justify it and make sense of it, just like PTSD. As long as you're in that space in your therapy, you're not going anywhere. Because you're basically taking always the same stuff and you're revisiting it from different angles. But you're not changing the stuff. It's still the same crap that you have between your hands, right? And so you can be stuck in rationalization. Progress happens when you make a decision that I've been sad, stuff has happened to me, I've been mistreated, people lack respect towards me, but that won't happen anymore. I'm going to make a difference, I'm going to live differently, and I'm going to do things differently from now on. So in the same way, happiness is a decision. Freedom is a decision. These are states of mind that you control. These are states of mind that might not be stable just because you decide that happiness is important to you now. Doesn't mean that 3 hours from now you will still be happy. It might fluctuate. But for some people, they experience this choice, or they have suffered so much that their resolve to choose happiness is so strong that yes, they will remain in it. The idea of finding peace before death is not that it would perdure for 25 years afterwards. It's just that you won't be in pain and agony at the moment of dying, because you will be panicked, for example, that you're going to hell, or that you will be tortured, or that you will be hated by generations of people after your death. And all of this could be, but it's just a decision of saying, oh, even if I go to hell, even if they torture me, even if they hate me forever, that's fine, that's okay. I'm at peace with whatever life has to throw at me. And this attitude of full acceptance of welcoming life entirely with the good and the bad is what enlightenment is about, isn't it? So when I say, Amida, carry me, I am not saying, forgive me and give me a freebie here, give me a free ride. What I'm saying is, I want to keep my mind at peace with everything that is happening. I want to walk the rest of my moments in that grace, if I was to say Christian term again. Right. So, is it possible for them to really regret it and everything? You know, most murders are not committed willingly. I've known of the story of a local guy here that he was interested by a woman that was his neighbor, and they had kind of been flirting in the hall, and they wanted to get together. And at some point, she invited him over, and he went, and misinterpreted, I guess, her signals or whatever. But when he made his move on her, she started yelling and alerting everyone. And the guy panicked, and he choked her, and she died. That's a sad story. I don't think we were... I've heard a lot about this guy, you know, and I don't think we were dealing with a genuine murderer there. I think we were dealing with somebody who was strong, who panicked, and then did something unforgivable. You might have a lot of trouble finding peace. You might be PTSD. You might, you know, a lot of things might happen to him in the future. But I felt by reading a lot about cases like this that a lot of people actually kill by accident, or they get trigger happy, or you know, something unexpected happened, and then 5 minutes later they were killers. Now, if you're talking about serial killers, oftentimes something is wrong in their mind to begin with. So are they able to find peace? Maybe they have peace the entire time. Who knows, you know? But militaries are a bit like these people that I was describing that killed by accident. That's not really what they wanted to do, but they end up doing it. And after that, they have to deal with the struggle. And in the same way, don't we all in our life hurt people that we don't want to hurt? say things that we don't want to say, find ourselves in places where we didn't want to be. That's kind of how it is for all of us. And so if that's your experience of life and you end up doing 25 years of jail, a lot can happen in 25 years of prison, sorry. A lot can happen in 25 years, and maybe you do find a heartfelt feeling somewhere to forgive yourself and forgive life. So I'm not saying that it is common or that it should happen or anything, but I feel that it is important that this exists. No problem. Happens all the time. Yeah. So does that make sense to you guys? This blabbing that I'm doing here?
Yes.
Alright. Casper, you too?
Yes, it makes sense as if you don't bring personal feelings from outsiders looking at the case. I can see that it can happen, but like most of the time, especially when you know said individual or if it was someone close related, that we deal, because we are emotional beings, we deal that we want to see justice happen, and that's the whole thing why prison system is built in the first place. Yeah.
And sometimes you hate yourself also. Let's imagine this situation. I have a young 2 years old who's playing in, all the time in the house, a bit in front, mommy, whatever. And this time I'm going to the grocery and I don't notice my 2 years old, and I take my car and I back right onto him and I kill my son. That happens, right? I have just done something terrible, completely unintentional, and that I will have a lot of trouble forgiving myself for. Will probably wreck my marriage, my family life, pretty much everything I'm about, for a while. So if we look at it from this perspective, wouldn't a person like that deserve peace after a while? He never meant for this to happen. Maybe he was not cautious enough. Maybe we could judge the situation in many different ways. But should this person who never meant to do that and loved their son dearly be punished forever because of that? Now, if that person doesn't know how to find peace, if that person doesn't have a tool like a mantra or a visualization or a meditation practice or whatever, you know what's going to happen to that person? They're going to become drug addicts. They're going to become alcoholics. They're going to be throwing themselves in whatever is causing very overwhelming sensations so that they don't feel the pain anymore. That's why you find so many veterans actually that are heavy drinkers and drug users, and sometimes also they're just troublemakers, because it's only when they're right in the middle of the trouble that they manage to feel at peace with themselves. So maybe it makes more sense to look at it from this angle, Casper?
I'd say so, but then I would like to say, what does Buddhism say, or does it exist in Buddhism about, justice, or the concept of justice? Because it's an emotional thing, I know that, and that the whole thing how the prison system in our world works, 10 years for this crime, 20 years for this crime. It doesn't always work, because sometimes they walk 25 years later out of prison and do the same thing again. So I know it's a flawed concept. So I should get a better understanding what justice actually means, and if it exists, what Buddhism would say about it.
There is no justice in Buddhism. The closest thing we have would be karma, because there is no good and evil in Buddhism. So in a way, if you kill somebody by accident, everything's about the intent in Buddhism. So if you kill someone by accident, it's a sad thing. But, for example, in Buddhism, we don't like killing insects and animals. But just take your car for a ride 100 kilometers, and can you imagine the quantity of beings that you will have killed by the way you arrive at destination? You didn't mean to. You were just going from point A to point B, but your car windshield and radiator will be filled with thousands of corpses by the time you get there. Plus the thing you run over, and sometimes we kill animals also, on the countryside roads. So that's one aspect of it. And if you do, kill a deer or something like that, then as a Buddhist, you should immediately kind of get out of your car, take the time to feel it, take the time to appreciate the gesture that you have committed because you were in a hurry, and maybe decide not to use the car anymore, or not to use the car so fast, or to be. There are a number of things that could happen to change your life there. Other than that, karma is a justice like in Christianity they call it divine justice. It's not, justice is not fairness. And that's where we make a mistake when we try to interpret it. Fairness would be, I get an apple, you get an apple, Mar has an apple, everybody has an apple. But divine justice could be that all 3 apples go to Mar because of his attitude right now.
Mine.
And why would it go to Mar? It might be that Mar's mother and Mar's father never got any apples, while our parents did. And all of a sudden, the universe decides to settle that score, and so Mar gets all of the apples. So that's kind of karma. But we tend to think of karma in very superficial ways, like if I hurt somebody, they might hurt me back. True, but there's karma that's larger than that. There's the karma of the universe, there's the karma of the solar system, the karma of planets. Let's say you are in a country and your president fights with the United States and some insults Trump or Bush back in the day, maybe more Bush. So insults Bush. And then, you are 11 years old, you have nothing to do with that conflict, but all of a sudden they start bombing your country. Well, that's still karma. Somebody planted a seed and created karma for your country here, and it's going to explode in your face. If you have been raised by a troubled family who taught you to respect troubled people, you might find yourself later in life surrounded by troubled people because you know exactly how to handle them. And so that's your karma. You will be troubled by them all the time, not necessarily conscious that a seed was planted and that's how you live now. Okay? So everything that happens is not fair, but is like always kind of justified. Like the universe has a plan and it's making these things happen, and we're too dumb and too short-sighted to see and understand the entire plan.
And
But
I
we're
think
part of it, and we're playing a small role in it.
I think that's the difference with the justice system that we've built up, is that we want it to be made in a fair way. That's probably impossible to conceive because it's meant to personal.
I would say
maybe.
that I would make a very poor judge, because if it was up to me, there would be nobody in prison. Sure, you could put someone away if they're dangerous for themselves or for others, but certainly not in conditions where they are treated like animals instead of being given the help that they need or the care that they need. So yeah, I think that if you would look at it from a Buddhist perspective, there is no justification at all for this kind of this fairness that we're looking for. To me, feels more like revenge.
In a way, it is. I mean, if it's all about the family wanting to see the person being punished for what he or she did, So in a way, it is some kind of revenge justice system.
Yeah, so it's like Mahatma Gandhi used to say, an eye for an eye leaves the entire world blind. It has to stop somewhere. And,
So does it sometimes happen in Tibetan Buddhist temples or in certain areas when they deal with a dangerous individual or a dangerous environment, how they handle such a thing? if they are not like, oh, we have to imprison this, or how they would deal with it?
Traditionally, the punishment would be more like a banishment, like they did to Milarepa that I was explaining earlier. So, you know, if you were in the Sangha, you will be banished from the Sangha, or you could be banished from the town. But the idea there is that it's kind of go on your pilgrimage and go think and go change your ways, and, you know, who knows, maybe someday you're welcome back when you can demonstrate that you have changed your ways.
Fuck you.
So yeah, I guess that's what I could say about this entire justice versus fairness and karma deal.
Mm-hmm.
Not entirely sure how we got there with pure land.
Oh my god.
Well, that was interesting though.
Yeah, very interesting.
I think it came
So-
from the concept about asking forgiveness at the moment of your death, if that is fair or not. But that's how we got there. So we learned quite a few things.
Right. So in the end, you know, if we go back to this pure land, we could sum it up by saying we are all equal in death, and we are all equal in Pure Land Buddhism as well. You know, we're all cogs in this universe, and so that's what I would say. That, and we also spoke, you know, about the death of the ego. So if you were motivated by your ego before, and that's what led you to commit that evil deed, or that led you to kill or hurt someone, and all of a sudden you let that ego go and you let it die. Yeah. Hey guys, outside the temple.
Give me a sec. I'll say hi.
Just tell them, Casper, that by
Yeah.
the spawn point we can appear them.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, we are still doing some stuff inside the temple. If you guys are talking, to take a little bit of distance. It's almost done. That's all.
So yeah, we're almost done. Unfortunately, we're pretty much just missing meditation now.
Hello.
But Casper, were you recording today?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
All right, so I guess you'll be able to catch up with the recording.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going in a Discord?
Yeah, I think when he's done with the editing, he puts them.
Yeah,
in the Discord.
yeah.
He also has
Like
a playlist.
it will be a whole bunch of them because I have to upload quite a bit of them. But yeah, I'll put it in the Discord.
Do you
It's
need
gonna-
to
To edit them? We can
Not-
talk later about it.
Not really. It's just uploading. Except a few, but it's a bunch of them. I think 5 or 6 that I have to upload now.
Yeah, I know.
All right, guys. So let's remember the meditation instruction I gave earlier. I will go back to chanting that mantra 10 times. Do your visualization. We do 10 minutes, and we do it in the spirit that we're trying to develop a new tool for ourselves, a new resource. As I like this expression, Buddhism, a refuge. So when the going gets really, really tough, let's say you're sitting on the cushion and you cannot relax, you cannot make peace, you cannot follow your breath, then that's an alternative method that you can try also to relax differently.
Played on
Sometimes by
ukulele, and when
stimulating
I
yourself a
played
little bit
you,
more.
I'm
Hey, guys.
taped to you, and
You can go by the spawn point so we don't hear you at all, just over there where the tree is. Up there, you can speak all you want. Is that okay?
Let me tell to her.
What is going on?
There's someone outside the temple just talking and calling.
It's fine.
That's fine. It's just if we're gonna meditate, I thought it would be good to do it.
She'll
Yeah,
become
it
part
would be
of
good to have
Some silence.
she'll become part of the meditation as background noise, I guess, like the birds.
Yeah, we can do that definitely. All right, so let's give it a shot, guys.
Kaas.
God damn it. No cheese.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. You can carry on chanting in your head while you do the visualization of the Buddha. Try and relax, follow the breath, fuse yourself. Realize your own Buddha nature by fusing yourself with the historical figure of Amida. Namo Amida Butsu. There you go. Did you try to chant a little bit in your mind, or maybe loud?
Well, I remember the Butsu part. I was just remembering the vocals instead of the entire mantra. The intonation. Yeah, that
So
was,
I have
kept
posted in our Discord 2 versions of the Amitabha mantras. They're entire wires, so more beautiful. There is the like South Asian version, and there is the Indian version. So the wording is not the same. One is Om Amideva Ji, and the other one is Nam Amidava Butsu. You can try to meditate with one of these. One of these days at all. I encourage you to do so. And because we spoke about a lot of different things, I just wanted to make sure that we did not miss the point of today's teaching, which is basically to focus on the good stuff and the peace. Carrying Amidaba daily in your heart and in your mind means that you're carrying this peaceful realm. You are basically staying in nirvana, staying in paradise as you go through life. And it's much healthier to focus on the beautiful and the bright and the nice than to focus on everything that's not going well in our lives. That's the real usefulness of the Amidava teachings and the way it's practiced here or in the East. So try to remember that he could be your saint patron of happiness. All right. Julia, would you like to join me for dedication? That's all right.
For the benefit of beings without exception, I dedicate without any reticence whatsoever all the merit accrued through virtuous acts to the incomparable expanse of totality.
Thank you. Your avatar is crawling, by the way. When I hit that button. And well, thank you guys for a great session.